that these two had a relationship, but then they started the investigation when the woman showed them unwarranted texts before they had this relationship.
But
So
she showed it to them
after
the relationship
So
ended.
the texts were so bad that she decided to date him and have a relationship with him.
It made the timeline super weird to
really
understand like what the Celtics were supposed to think about the relationship.
Right. The reality is that we don't really know what went down, but if that's really what they're selling right now, then I got to sit here and wonder why he's about to coach the Brooklyn Nets and not your own team.
And really about to coach. So 2 tweets that came out from the warring newsbreakers, Woj and Shams. So Shams has tweeted the Brooklyn Nets plan to hire Ime Udoka as their new head coach. Sources tell The Athletic in Stadium Boston granted the Nets permission to speak to Udoka and will allow him to leave freely, sources said. Here's a little timeline for you before we dissect what leave freely actually means. Woj said suspended Celtics coach Ime Udoka has emerged as the likely next Brooklyn Nets head coach, and his hiring could be finalized as soon as the next 24 to 48 hours. Celtics will let him leave for another job.
Wow. So that's amazing. That's amazing.
Tomorrow, Ime
that's
is
amazing.
Brooklyn Nets head coach.
A press conference tomorrow afternoon. Right? What is today? Today's Tuesday? Today's Tuesday. Yeah, hump day. Oh, what a surprise. It's hump day.
What a surprise.
So they're talking about
Just let that one sit there for a
So
second.
I was like, huh?
So this isn't even a trade. This isn't even a trade.
It's going to release him. Let him go. I'm telling you, this is why it makes more sense that it was personal. It was he stinks. He stunk up the facilities. There's too much animosity and anger, and there's going to be some sort of retribution at some point in time. You got to get him out of the building.
Yeah, and I still don't, buy like the Shams is like, okay, this is why they suspended him. Because he got in a relationship and he sent unwarranted text to the woman he had a consensual relationship with. I'm not buying any of that. There's still got to be more. And to your point, it's sort of like, I don't even want to see your face
Doesn't
anymore.
matter.
We've talked about this before. It's about the who.
Mm-hmm.
Or how many. But the who. Like, who was it to the point that somebody over there is like, you're suspended, you're gone. Brooklyn's interested. Take him. You want to trade? No. We'll give you a player. I don't want him. Get him out of my building. I don't want to see him again. I don't want anything to do with this guy. That's the level that it was.
You know why? Because they won't even say his name. Like when preseason started in the summer, they weren't even saying his name. The players weren't talking about it. They wanted to just to scrub his existence from the Celtics. Like that's how personal it was. So fine. So like somebody wants to go ahead. We don't care. We're good. We don't have to deal with you anymore. Like we're moving on with our lives. You move on with yours. It was like a legit divorce. Like no, you don't need to send any postcards. We don't have any kids. There's no custody battle going on. Just get out of my life. So fine. But it is amazing that there just isn't any stink to this whatsoever.
Can we break this down for a second?
Which part? That it's hump day tomorrow and Ime Udoka is going to be a head coach?
This is a situation where there was no criminal action, at least that they even thought that they could charge, prosecute, anything like that. No criminal action by the coach. The coach is suspended quietly, out like just hanging around with half pay or whatever it was, something around there. And now you're okay with sending him to your rival?
You go.
To your Eastern Conference rival, which, by the way, has the other guy who threw the biggest elbow in recent memory to your franchise.
That's what we send them all.
You're okay with sending him to Brooklyn? I gotta know. They're not going to put any information out there.
Does that concern you?
I would like to think in my dream world that the way that the Celtics do business, that it's like the way that they feel about their employees and conduct and everything is so highfalutin that they're like, we don't stand for this. This is inappropriate. We can't have this in the building. How important is whoever was involved on the other side?
Very important.
That you are sending the head coach who took you to the finals in his first year to Brooklyn, your rival.
Can we say that
on a team
that is the worst case scenario for you? The only thing worse is if he went to the Bucks.
If he was messing around with the strength coach's wife, if he was messing around with the lunch lady, nobody would care. It is the who. It's always been the who and the ego that is attached to the who. That's it.
But you know what? This is even worse. I mean, Milwaukee has a competent coach. Like, we looked at the Nets and said, Steve Nash is nothing. He just gets in a huddle and he's like, all right, that looks good, boys. Good job. Like, he is nothing. And you talk about, like, that's why this is more concerning if you don't believe in the Brooklyn Nets. Like, they're a mess. They're 2-5. They're screaming at each other, and Kyrie Irving's not allowed to talk to the media anymore. If anybody can go over there and handle egos, look what he did with your team. Young kids. Now, it was a different ego, right? It was young stars trying to make a name for themselves. Now he goes over there, and he's got Kyrie, and he's got KD. Can he figure out Ben Simmons? Like, this is bad case scenario because they've been a mess.
The reason this is
he
happening,
might be able to straighten them out.
The reason this is happening, first of all, good luck. They have bigger issues.
You don't think you can straighten them out?
I feel like those guys are too just caught up in their whole lives, but I don't want to talk about that right now because I do. Just back to the hiring and how it happened.
Yeah, you haven't moved on. You haven't moved on.
I still feel like this is all one big just setup. It's orchestrated by those two knuckleheads down in Brooklyn, Kevin Durant. I feel like it was like this one huge, big just deal. Listen, we'll start off. I'll start bitching and complaining. Okay, you opt in. I'm going to take it to the limit, and we'll see if we can get rid of Nash. Okay, well, they couldn't get rid of Nash. Ownership backed him. GM backed him. So they say, fine, let's find a way to get along. They all get together in the summer. All right, great. Well, they end up, what do they start, 1-5? They've won one game? They're 2-5. Sorry, the Lakers are 1-5. The Lakers are 1-5, but they're terrible. They should be much better than this. So you know what? It's the coach. It's always been the coach. Get us Ime. And everything will be fine.
You don't think it's going to affect the Nets at all? You don't think it'll make them good again?
I think that there's just too much just stink to it. I do. And I think those types of teams, these type of scenarios, and maybe I'm just old-fashioned, I don't think it works.
Mego?
I'm concerned. I mean, I tweeted out that I'm concerned. Like Ime Udoka coaching Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving is a problem for the rest of the Eastern Conference.
So too.
And people are like, typical, but you hate the Celtics. No, I don't.
We all know you hate the Celtics.
All you have to do is watch what Ime Udoka, to your point that you just said, did with this group, who, by the way, were so dysfunctional when Ime Udoka got in there. Good group of guys had a lot of crap with each other.
Yeah, listen,
for the past 4 years.
Yeah, but these guys get along. These guys, they all like each other.
Yeah, did they?
They all like. Well,
really?
No. Durant and Kyrie don't like it. They're the only two people that matter.
Ben Simmons?
Ben Simmons is an afterthought. Okay, just don't shoot and get out of the way. You think Ime Udoka's going to help Ben Simmons?
Yeah,
I think he could.
Not a chance.
I do.
Is he going to help his jump shot? Can he be a better shooter?
I think maybe he says, hey, you see what I did with Marcus Smart? Marcus wanted to be a 3-point shooter. I'm not even asking you to get into that. You're going to be, hey, Ben Simmons, you're going to be Depoy, okay?
Depoy, defensive player of the year.
Yeah, see
great.
how Marcus gets to talk about himself in the third person
I don't
about
think so.
Depoy? Ben Simmons, wouldn't you like to talk about
Well, I
Depoy
would say this.
that way?
I mean, Celtics fans, I think, had a love affair for Ime Udoka. Okay, they thought he was maybe not getting enough credit. Should have been coach of the year. And now that he's on Brooklyn Nets, I can bet you he's going to get dumb. Who cares? He wasn't even that good anyways. It was all about Tatum and Brown. You guys were right. It's all about the players. It ain't about the coach. But let me tell you, this Missoula guy, he's one of the best in the league. I can tell you right now. He's one of the best. I'm telling you. He is. I know basketball. So it's all about laundry. He's a great coach.
When did you become Robert De Niro?
Yeah, what just happened?
He's a great
just doing Goodfellas?
Yeah, I do acting. He's a great coach. And I think that he can, unfortunately, straighten them out a hell of a lot more than Steve Nash could.
I feel like
hell of a lot more.
He may become preeminent. He's expected to have
enthusiasms.
I do feel like it's a different set of circumstances, and I don't think it necessarily works as well as it worked with Jalen and Jason. Mm-hmm. I do. I don't think it's different. I think those two guys, and I just keep focusing on Kyrie and Kevin. I just think they're both independently dysfunctional, and I feel like they have this unrealistic idea of how good they are.
I think
they're still good. They're still good
Kevin
players.
Durant. You can't lump Kevin in with Kyrie.
Yeah.
Why? I thought they were a package. They feel like a package deal.
Kevin tried to get away. Kevin tried to escape this summer.
Yeah. That was all fake.
All right, let me get some of the reaction here. I'm curious, Celtics fans, how do you feel about Ime moving to the Nets? Because it's a reality. Ime Udoka will be coaching the Nets within the next 24 to 48 hours. Let's go to Jake in Boston. Go ahead, Jake. What's up on Facebook?
Boys and Megan, how are you? First of all, I'm proud to be a Celtics fan today. I am worried for every female employee in the Brooklyn Nets organization. And, Mego, you should be worried about them, too. The Celtics did the right thing here. I mean, listen, we still have anti-vax Jalen. We still have Marcus Smart. But when it comes to protecting female employees
Jake,
against...
Jake, what's your problem with Marcus Smart today?
Same thing as it's been for the last 6 years. He's Marcus Smart. I can't wait to get rid of him.
What, that he's doing all this funding for children's cancer research around the Boston area hospitals?
Well, that's great. He still shoots dumb three-pointers. I don't get why you love him so much.
I need you to refer to him as Depoy from now on. Thank you, Jake.
Okay. All right. Well, I do want to talk about this. First of all, if you're a female employee at a sports organization, what the Celtics did was the right thing. They said that the powerful athlete does not matter. If the powerful athlete has or coach in this case has an inappropriate relationship, that will be dealt with accordingly and on the level. That's why I'm proud. That's also why I'm scared for the Nets and all their female employees, and maybe even Sarah Kustok, who would be prime Ime Udoka material here in terms of what he wants. Listen,
Jake.
Look at Joseph.
Jake, I gotta let you go. I don't think we're gonna name everybody in the front office.
I was with
of the
him
Nets.
until he started naming people.
Yeah,
Let's not
name names.
Let's go to Dan in Nashua. Go ahead, Dan.
How's it going, guys?
Good. How are you?
Hey, first, good, thank you. I just want to point out, Lou, you mentioned it at the beginning of the segment. I think it was the Shams report about the female employee reported that the inappropriate comments were before the consensual relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, shouldn't more be made of that? I mean, how inappropriate were they if they were before? She, like you said, she entered into a relationship after the comments.
Yeah,
So,
Dan,
I mean,
I feel like that's like a story that was given to Shams. Like, that can't be the reason why this man is no longer the head coach of the Boston Celtics.
No, and I heard you follow up. Maybe he's just a bad guy. Maybe everybody doesn't like him. I mean, that's certainly possible. But, most of the public thinks it's because of this relationship.
Yeah.
Not enough, I think, was made of that but prior to the relationship comments. The only other thing I wanted to mention, guys, is what do you think it would take for some Boston media person to let the woman's name out if they had it? I mean,
What
would
would it
anybody?
take?
I think.
I don't know, Dan. I think at this point,
Maybe their consent?
I don't think the media releases it. If anything, remember the whole Deshaun Watson thing? It looked like he was going to, get off. Maybe a bad term using it with him, but it looked like nothing was going to happen. The next thing you know, 5 other women came out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And this is sort of like the feeling that I would have is that September 23rd, this man was suspended. November 1st, he has a job with the Brooklyn Nets as the head coach in the league. What did he lose? Maybe a little bit of his reputation in media, but they protected that. Nobody knows the real story. You don't really know. You have no idea what this guy did. The only story that's out there is the one Shams threw out there. That he had a consensual relationship and sent some, kind of mean tweets at one point, but the woman could have been too mean because they got together. So it's like someone's out there right now going, this guy's a lot worse than it's being played out, and now he's getting what he wants. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to come forward and tell him what happened.
Yeah, but it almost doesn't even matter. If it was consensual, it was consensual. And I feel like a lot of
relationship.
I know, but
yes.
The other thing is and I do think they liked him. I think they loved him. What they didn't like was his bedside manner. That's what they didn't like.
Stop it, Christian. Well, I'll say
It's your turn.
No,
You're
to
on
your
fire
point
today,
about
man.
the consensual relationships.
I think it's irrelevant at this point,
I
personally.
know there's people I don't think it's irrelevant.
It
You have
is.
to look at why are you essentially sending this coach out of town?
But
Why
I
are
feel
you
like
sending it out?
we can sit there and talk about that for a week. But
Okay, let's do
ultimately, no, we could. I mean, I feel like we will actually.
Because there are people out there like Jake, who's a very vocal member of this opinion, that by being somebody who was not as critical to the organization as Ime Udoka was, this woman who was in the relationship is a victim. She can't be in a consensual relationship because of a power dynamic in the workplace.
True.
I don't know that I necessarily buy that in every circumstance. I don't have enough information in this circumstance to decide if she was a victim or if she's a willing,
participant,
another bad actor.
Yeah.
We don't know. We won't know because the Celtics won't put anything out there. To that caller's question, no media member is going to put out the woman's name.
Well, but
it's a privacy violation.
The thing, though, I guess that what is going to sting a little bit is that Celtics fans will see what's going on and they'll, perceived the Ime is obviously the perceived better coach, right? Just go with that. He's the better coach than Mazzulla. And sure enough, they will sit there and say, why couldn't you just figure it out? If he was such a huge part of your success, then why couldn't you let the other guy that is pissed off about this go? Why couldn't you find a way to, pay him off so he just leaves the organization? Isn't he more important? But no, I think it's so deep and twisted that the loyalties of the front office, especially ownership, were too connected with the person who was affected by this. Like
they can't fire someone for sleeping with the coach, essentially. They have to say the coach should be above this. This other person, we can't fire for sleeping with the coach.
You think the players know the story yet?
I bet it.
Which players?
Celtics players.
How do you keep that
Absolutely. They're buddy. Like, what? Like, if I have a good friend with some of my coaches, like, I would call them up right away. Even if they get fired, like, we're having a conversation. We're talking throughout the rest of our lives.
Like, I'm just saying, they have to know. So I would agree they have to know. If they don't know, aren't they sitting there saying, all right, can someone tell me why he's the head coach of the Nets?
And not the Celtics
and not
anymore?
Us. Like, can someone tell me finally why? I agree with you. I think they do know by now. But if you're a player and you are left out in the dark and something like this happens and you're playing the Brooklyn Nets and you're watching Ime out there and let's say they beat you and Kyrie's rolling and KD's rolling and Simmons is playing defense and dishing and you're just like, man, they look right. Why did this happen again?
Yeah, I mean,
Can you just tell me why it happened? I need the whole story. And don't give me this little thing that's been leaked. I need it all.
Even if you're rolling, even if everything's clicking for you, and you still have the issues that
and you're
you have
happy with
the
Joe
big man
Mazzulla.
and
You like Joe
everything,
Mazzulla.
you're happy, but then you see the Nets and the level of talent that they have. I'm not saying the Celtics aren't talented. The Celtics are very talented.
Why do you hate the Celtics so much?
But you see Kyrie and KD actually clicking together, and it's all good times over there, and Seth Curry and Ben Simmons high-fiving. Yeah, we're all so happy. Like, and it's your coach. There's no way you don't look over there and go, okay, this made sense in September, kind of, but now that it's April and we're looking at the postseason and these guys are the number one seed and they can't lose, I don't know. It is a worst case scenario outcome to me, Christian.
So they don't play them until, is it December 4th?
December 4th at Brooklyn.
Jeez, they don't play him for a while, huh? December 4th. I mean, he's definitely the head coach. I mean, he'll be the head coach by whatever, in a couple nights, or probably for this team.
Maybe by the end of the show.